The end of the old mafia guard in The Godfather happens precisely when the traditional values of leaders like Vito Corleone clash with a new generation of more ambitious and ruthless criminals. Vito built his empire by following his own code, operating outside the law but with a clear sense of honor and defined limits. For him, crimes such as gambling, smuggling, and even extortion were ways to make money without excessively harming society. This mentality becomes evident when Sollozzo proposes a partnership in drug trafficking. Vito refuses, believing that drugs are destructive and that their distribution would cause the mafia to lose the little respect and protection it still had from authorities and the public. He understands that bribing judges and politicians to overlook gambling and prostitution is still feasible, but drugs would carry a much heavier moral burden. His refusal is not just a business decision, it reflects his worldview. Despite being a criminal, he still sees himself as someone who maintains a certain order and stability. However, this decision makes him vulnerable. Other mafia bosses, such as Barzini and Tattaglia, do not share Vito's perspective. They are willing to modernize the mafia, embracing the new era without the same ethical constraints. The assassination attempt on Vito, orchestrated by this new generation of leaders, marks the beginning of the end for his model of leadership. Until that moment, Vito was the most powerful and respected boss in New York, an untouchable man whose political influence and strategic mind ensured the Corleone family's stability. However, by rejecting Sollozzo's offer due to his principles, as Sollozzo himself puts it, Vito failed to realize that the world around him was changing. The issue was not just the refusal itself, but what it represented. Vito still viewed the mafia as a system of business governed by certain rules, while his rivals, Barzini and Tattaglia, were ready to break any limits to expand their empires. His rejection directly threatened their interests, as they already saw drug distribution as the inevitable future of organized crime. The response was swift and brutal, an attempt on Vito's life that nearly succeeded. This attack completely destabilized the Corleone family. With Vito out of action, Sonny, impulsive and aggressive, took control in a disorganized manner, escalating conflicts and plunging the family into open war. As tensions rose, a cycle of retaliation further weakened the Corleones, ultimately leading to Sonny's death, a devastating blow that almost shattered the family's power. At that moment, the situation seemed hopeless, as if everything was lost for the Corleones. Thus, Michael was extremely efficient in restoring order and bringing back a sense of security to the Corleone family, something that seemed impossible after the attacks on Vito and Sonny's death. When he took control, Michael understood that the only way to restore the family's position was to eliminate not only immediate threats but also any future possibility of instability. But did Michael uphold his father's principles during his reign? No, he did not preserve them. On the contrary, he had to abandon them to ensure the survival of the Corleone family. Vito ruled with a balance of respect and fear, preferring to resolve conflicts through diplomacy before resorting to extreme violence. However, Michael took power in a different era, when the mafia no longer operated under the same codes of honor. The attack on Vito proved that loyalty and a given word no longer held the same weight. Michael understood that if he tried to follow his father's principles, he would either end up dead or lose everything. For this reason, he reshaped his way of leading. Unlike Vito, who negotiated patiently and accepted coexistence with rivals, Michael eliminated any threat without hesitation. The baptism of blood itself symbolizes this difference. While Vito would have sought alliances and agreements, Michael preferred to wipe out his enemies all at once, ensuring absolute power. Moreover, Michael engaged in practices that Vito would never have accepted. He expanded the business more aggressively, consolidated his empire without concern for moral consequences, and did not hesitate to eliminate even allies and family members if he deemed it necessary. His father, for instance, would never have ordered the death of a brother, but Michael had no such hesitation with Fredo. Michael's reign was built on constant vigilance. He could not let his guard down as Vito did in his later years because he knew that any sign of weakness would be his downfall. This made him an efficient leader, but at the cost of his humanity. While Vito managed to balance power and family, Michael, in the end, was left with only power, alone, paranoid, and with no one he could trust. The transition from Vito to Michael Corleone symbolizes the decline of the old guard and its ethical and moral principles, giving way to a new era of pragmatism and modernization. While Vito clings to Sicilian tradition and codes of conduct, Michael adapts to the demands of the new times, adopting a more impersonal and ruthless approach. Well, everyone, that's all for today. What do you think about Don Vito Corleone's principles? Do you believe he was right to reject Sollozzo's proposal? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, give it a like, and share it with your friends to support our work. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.